What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Young and Hungry Show. In today's episode, I'm very honored to bring on someone who has worked with CEOs, high-profile athletes, and continues to help tons of people to become better versions of themselves. So I've been personally very privileged to do some personal mentorship with Gary, and I can assure you guys are going to take a ton of value from today's episode. So I can assure you guys want to stay on here and take a lot and jot some notes down today. But anyways, welcome on the CEO of Gary Trupke Leadership and Elite Mindset. GC, how we doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me, fellas.
I love it. I love it. Perfect.
So I think, obviously you talk a lot about leadership, mindset. So I think one of the biggest things that we want to jump into today is if you were talking to someone like a younger leader, a younger guy or a younger girl who's involved in sports, business, or what would be some key principles that you said have, helped you become a high executing leader in your business?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think starting early is always beneficial. So it's the law of compound interest. Like if you start early, you start investing early, it pays off in the long run. It's the seventh wonder of the world. But we don't often think about that in terms of our own lives and our own habits and some of the things that we do that cause us to be healthy that pay off dividends in the long run. So there's no shortcuts. I mean, it's how you make diamonds is grinding time and pressure, right?
Definitely.
Like that's how you create that kind of quality material. And I think if you want to be quality material, you start young and you grind and you give it time and you give it effort, and you give it heat and you give it trials and challenges. And that's what makes us who we are. So the younger you start this stuff, it's the more profitable it ends up being in your life. So there's no shortcuts.
Yeah, I love you bringing up that diamond piece because I just read this one thing where it's like bamboo, right? It takes 3 to 4 years just to build its foundation, build its roots, right? And then after those 3 or 4 years, it grows exponentially, right? In 6 weeks, it's like, I don't know the exact height, but it's like 90 feet or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like once you build that foundation, then you're just going to grow like the sky's the limit, right?
It's very true. And I think the temptation is to get impatient. There's not too many people I meet where they're like, yeah, I'm so thrilled where I am. Most people think that they should be further along that they are. And so they get discouraged.
Yeah, definitely. In our culture right now, it's just like everyone wants that instant like satisfaction, right? They don't see the long run. They don't see the future goals. So it's like, if I'm not getting right now or the next day or the week after, then I'm done with it. Like I'm dropping it, right? And I feel like that's so key in like mindset leadership, right? Everyone wants to be this big leader, right? This like well-known person, but they don't want to grind for it. They don't want to put in the time, the effort, the energy, right?
Yeah. They want to do what I do, but they don't want to do what I did.
Exactly. They don't see what's behind closed doors, behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, that's the timing and grinding and pressure. That's a great analogy.
Definitely.
I love that.
Definitely.
Sure. That's one of the biggest things I remember you always telling me about is that you have to be able to go through adversity to, develop your character and to be able to just develop yourself in general to be able to get to new levels in life. Because if you want to build anything or whether you want to build a business like you have or become a better athlete, you have to be able to go through the process, right, of becoming that.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the consistency is a big piece of it. Like anybody could eat a good meal. Anybody could do a diet for a day. Anybody can do something for a few days. It's hard to do it for 5 days. It's hard to do it for 2 weeks. It's hard to do it. So one of the things that I think is valuable, at least as I process my own life, is those who can withstand the boredom of doing the right things over and over and over again will be the most successful.
Definitely. Right. So we're talking about grind and mindset and building that foundation that might take years, months, or even weeks, right? So what is that golden morning routine you do each and every morning to get you energized, get your mind right?
Oh yeah, that's crucial for me. I mean, I did it this morning. So there's something I called Win the Day, and I call it WTD. And so the concept goes like this, that if you don't take care of yourself, you've got no shot at reaching your potential.
Definitely.
So you got to figure out what you need to do, because we're all different. Like, what do you need to specifically do to be the most successful that you can be every day? So I've identified 7 things in my own life. It might be 5 things for somebody else, but the trick is to pick an odd number. And so in my closet, I have this calendar, and I every day I give myself a win or a loss. And so 7 is an odd number. And so I'm either winning that day with doing these 7 things. I might win 4-3. I might win 7-0. I might win 6-1. I might lose, 4-3. I might lose. And so I can tell every day how I do when I do these 7 things. And so what that looks like for me is, did I sleep 7 hours? So 7 hours is a bare minimum. The science on sleep is
it's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. So performance it's the number one greatest drug enhancing thing that you can do is actually sleep. So I call it the best PED that there is. It's the best performance enhancing drug. So it's sleep 7 hours. It's eat well. It is proclaim my personal philosophy to myself every day. It's to make 3 declarations every day. It is to have some blue time, blue space. I call it like blue sky space, where I can just, think and dream and that kind of thing. And so, yeah, there's a couple other things, but those are the 5 major ones. And then a couple other things are just about me dialing into who I want to be and what I want to do. And so those 7 things, if I do them, great. And if I don't do them, then I don't do them. And I can tell when I have a losing streak.
Definitely.
To lose once is okay, but to lose twice is called a losing streak. Well, yeah. And so oftentimes I'll look at that calendar and I'll see wins and losses, and I'll be like, man, I want a winning streak. Definitely. And when you're on a winning streak, when you can see it on a wall and prove it to yourself, man, you're the guy that's got to lay your head down on your pillow at night. And you have to prove it to yourself that you can do what you want to do.
Definitely.
And so when you identify those 5 things or those 7 things, and you see on a calendar how you've been doing, and you want to continue the winning streak, it's just very interesting. At least I've noticed on Saturdays, it's the hardest to get a W. Like I can look backwards and see my losses on Saturdays. And I think to myself, man, do I want to do these 7 things every day? And I think to myself, well, I kind of do, because I don't like Saturdays.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm not being who I think I've been created to be and do the stuff I've been created to do. So yeah, that doing those 5 or 7 things, I think for all of us is pretty crucial. And a lot of people have to feel motivated to do them. I think motivation is really overrated.
You think?
I think so. I think if you want to be an average performer, I think motivation is overrated. If you want to be an elite performer, you can pre-decide what you want. And that pre-decision eliminates a lot of other decisions that you have to make in your life. It actually is called the illusion of choice. If you want to be average at something, you have lots of choices. If you want to be good at something, you have few choices. If you want to be awesome or excellent or elite at something, you don't have a choice.
Definitely.
So you pre-decide that one time, and you're done with your decisions. And so for me, those 7 things for me and win the day are pretty mechanical. And I found out that my body and my brain don't know the difference. I just do these 7 things and I have a great day.
Definitely.
I agree with that 100%. I like what you said. So do you think motivation is overrated? But are you saying that basically you got to have discipline to be able to follow through with what you say you're going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of saying.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the athlete or the high performer, or it depends on kind of their mindset.
Right.
Sometimes people really do need to dial into motivation. But if you talk to like Navy SEALs, I worked with a Navy SEAL. I've worked with SWAT team. I work with really high-end athletes. Motivation is they just kind of feel like it's overrated, or they'll talk about positivity. I think mostly positivity is pretty toxic. I call it toxic positivity. And I believe way more in optimism. And this is how it dials into the win the day stuff. So I believe in optimism. So toxic positivity is thinking that you can do something that you can't really do. So you can be as positive as you want, but you're going to have to lie to yourself, and it might be dangerous. So positivity is really overrated, but optimism is the way to go. So optimism always requires a reason for you to be optimistic. So just work on the reasons to be optimistic. And if you're winning every day, you'll say to yourself, you know what? I think I can do this. Like I'm constantly achieving what I want to do every day. And yeah, I can do pretty much anything I put my mind to.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. So if we were to jump into a different sector of this, so I love everything you just said about winning the day, and I hope everyone just jotted down a bunch of notes on that, because that's huge key to winning every single day, right? But obviously we probably have a good amount of younger people watching this, right? So if you were to go back in life and tell let's just give a little age range of like 18 to 20 years old, and you were to go back and tell yourself something like, this is what you got to do to get to where you want to go in life, whether it's something about, your mindset or your habits or just where you want to go in life, what would you say?
Well, besides the start early piece, I would say don't fight your biology. Don't fight your biochemistry. So, for example, your body wants to sleep 7 or 8 hours. So let it. It wants to do that. So let it. So we often will try to power through things or try to hack our biology, and it's actually not helpful. So if you were to move with your biology and align your life with your biology, it's actually really helpful. So this idea of starting great habits young is really powerful. But I think if I were to look back and think about what I would tell myself, I would probably say have a vision for your life, use mental imagery to imagine where you want to be in 5 years or in 10 years or in 15 years. Yeah. And it's really hard to do because life hands you all types of curveballs and stuff like you don't expect. But if I had a better idea of who I was and how I think I was created, and if I was just to cooperate with that and say, well, I'm trying to be like everybody else, or I want all these attributes that other people have, but if I just kind of settled into me a little bit, and I know in the recovery world they call it radical acceptance. If I was to radically accept just my wiring and who I was, and then just try to maximize that, I think I'd be a lot further ahead.
Definitely. I feel like this whole social media and everything like that, it's like it kind of compares everyone to each other, right? To where it's like, it's almost like a hierarchy of people. It's like, oh, we've got this person who's doing successful, they're doing well, they're famous or whatever. And you want to compare yourself to that. So I feel like what you just said with the biology, it's like, you got to know who you are, right? And not compare yourself to John Doe, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a big piece.
I was just working with a client yesterday, and he's an insatiable learner. And I said, well, good for you. That's really great. But I said, man, that's a lot of voices to have in your life. And so to me, it's like picking a couple voices that you really appreciate and you really identify with, and just listen to that voice or those couple voices, because it's like hearing crystal clear audio really clear and thinking, oh, this is amazing. But then play another song on top of that. Then play another song on top of that, and then play another song on top of that. Now you have 4 or 5 songs, and you've completely ruined the just the enjoyment of listening to the music, because there's so many voices. And so pick 1 or 2 and let those authors or let those people mentor you, extract as much as you can out of those things, and turn off all the other stuff and quit reading so many books and quit listening to everything under the sun. It's like, I know you're in sponge mode, but there's something really powerful about slowing down your life and listening to a couple people that you really appreciate and you really love, and then just let them mentor you.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about that. So let people mentor you. So who do you say you look for like mentorship and guidance? Because you're saying that you kind of dialed it down and kind of slowed it down to, you don't want to have like, you just sponging in a bunch of different information, because obviously there's a bunch of different like, personal development you can listen to, or personal development books you can read, but who do you personally listen to or take advice from?
Yeah, not very many. And a couple guys that I'd really like to listen to are very obscure and nobody would know. But I like the way that they run their life, and they just the way that they view the world and that they view life. So I do some contract work with Limitless Minds, Russell Wilson's company, and Trevor Moawad has been an inspiration to me, and he's Russell Wilson's mental training coach. And so Trevor is someone that I kind of check in with and from time to time and just say hi, and we can kind of banter back and forth a little bit. But after that, there's not too many people. Yeah. Currently, there's Trevor really Moawad. Really just Trevor's a great guy. There's Definitely. A couple other guys, but I find a lot of value in sort of obscure people who people don't know about these people, sure. Like the culture doesn't know about them, but I respect them. And so I look for people I respect, and not just in one area, but in just the way that they live all the areas of their life. So yeah, it's I wish I could give you names, but I just don't have them. Yeah.
Trevor Moawad, he's a really good mind. I mean, I've heard a ton about him though. Yeah. He's been on a lot of different podcasts too. I I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I feel like it makes a lot of sense to be able to only want to sponge in something from like one certain person, so you're kind of hearing like consistently like things instead of hearing like a bunch of different things.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to. Sometimes we can get disassociative behavior, where we kind of don't know who we are because we're hearing so many voices, and we kind of don't know who to listen to. And so I just am a big believer in paring that down. And then, I mean, imagine if you could be mentored by 3 or 4 outstanding people for a decade.
Definitely.
Like, can you imagine where you'd be? But oftentimes we want sort of all these voices to speak, and it's like making a cake. You know, you have so many ingredients, and you kind of don't know what order to place them in. And one of the downsides of listening to a lot of voices is that you don't know the right sequence. And so it's like baking a cake and using eggs and putting cocoa on top of the eggs and then putting it in the oven for 45 minutes and then taking it out and putting some flour on top. If you do things in the wrong sequence, you don't get the benefit. And so listening to a couple people over a long period of time helps you just dial into the right sequence.
Definitely.
This is why you got to listen to the Young and Hungry show consistently.
That's right.
We're bringing on great guests that are adding a ton of value to you guys.
It.
Come on now. But no, let's dive into like one of the last questions, Ben. If you want to kind of ask him, what it's about,
So what I want to really dig your brain about is what kind of led you to going down this path of like helping others in leadership and mindset. With athletes, whether that be just normal people. So like what kind of led you down that road?
Yeah. I appreciate that question a lot because typically there's a lot of pain that comes from stuff. Like that's how you grow, right? You grow through that pain and discomfort. And so for me, it was failing at a couple big things and thinking, oh, I got to think through my life here. Like what's really important to me? And there was a time where I was quitting one job and I had the space in between and I was like, well, what am I going to do next? Like you're thinking like, I got to grind, I got to go. And then I just remember just thinking, I just need to let death do its work in me. And so just just don't do much, like don't do anything and just sit. And I was like, man, that sounds awful. That sounds painful just to sit and not do anything.
Yeah.
But yet that silence did a lot in me. And then I discovered that what I really love is leaders. I love athletes and I love leaders. And so I do a lot of leadership stuff. I travel a lot, before COVID, of course, but I travel a lot and I speak about leadership on a regular basis all over North America. And I just love leaders. And so I love the people. Like I actually love them and I'm fascinated with them. So while I love leadership stuff, I love the people. And so for me, it was born out of a lot of disappointment and it was a lot of pain, and thinking what I really want to do with my life and what's really going to matter, because I had to decide. And this is the 2 magic questions that Rami and I have talked before. It's like, what do you want versus what you really want? And if you spend the majority of your life chasing after what you think you want versus what you really want, you're going to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, I don't know about you, but I love pizza and I love football and I love hanging out and with my smoker and smoking meat, that's what I want. But what I really want is I want to have a generational impact on people's lives.
Definitely.
And so for me, it's like, what if I spent the majority of my time chasing after what I really want? Could that be a life worth living? And I think it is.
Definitely. I love that.
Man. That's one of the biggest principles that Gary's taught me is like, there's just so many times where you got to decide like, what do you want versus what do you really want? Like, what is your highest self want? I feel like that's definitely changed my mindset a ton. And so like I said in the beginning, guys, I'm sure you guys were jotting down notes here like every second because this was, obviously a huge podcast for us and we were super honored to have you on today, my man GC. And so that being said, you guys, we're gonna shut it down today, but we hope you guys took a ton of value from today's episode. And if you guys enjoyed it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and make sure you check out elitemindset.com. He's got a great website. He trains a ton of people if you guys want to do some client work with him. And yeah, man, let him know what's up.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, of course.
All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.
Peace.